Welcome back to the Virtually Vikings radio show, the half-hour program that will be discussing all things St. John's River State College. Each week, we'll be spotlighting a new degree, program, events, or resources that are offered through the college. I'm your host, Mickey Johns, and today I'm joined by some of the wonderful librarians here at St. John's River State College, Victoria Slaughter from our St. Augustine campus, Kendall McCurley from our Orange Park campus, and our special guest, our SJR State student, Choki. The topic is going to be the Vikings Read More Book Club. Thank you all for joining me today.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having us.
having us.
Thank you for having us.
Before we dive into our topic of the book club, I would love to learn a little bit more about each of you. Tori, how long have you been at the Victoria, sorry. How long have you been at the college, and what inspired you to become a librarian?
So I joined SJR back in January of 2023. And so this is my first academic librarian job. And I have wanted to be a librarian for many, many years. And it's all the librarians that I've had throughout my life and seeing what they've done with other individuals and the support and the just good stuff that they can give people just kind of push me that direction.
And Kendall, what about you?
I kind of fell into librarianship a little bit. I started getting my master's in history and needed a job. And I started working at the UNF library, actually. And I decided to change career paths. I loved it so much and really enjoyed academic libraries. So I did go public library route for a little bit, but I came back here in the fall of 21, August of 21, I think. So I've been here a little over 3 years, and it's been great. So I very much enjoy it.
Yay! And then Choki, how long have you been a student at the college, and what's your intended study? What are you planning on studying?
I started at the college fall 2023. I am still undecided, but I'm interested in chemistry, anthropology, and theater all over the place. And I'll have to decide when I transfer next semester. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love all the options. Always good to keep it open in that respect. So let's get into the book club part of it, the reason I'm taking it part of your morning. What inspired the start of this book club?
Kendall, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Brittany Fisher, who is one of the librarians at the Palaca campus, is really kind of the brains behind the operation for the book club. She really got it started. It started only in Palaca first, and it was very successful. And so she decided to kind of spread the joy around that is book club. And I think it was just trying to find some kind of common ground with students and faculty and staff and really everybody to have kind of a voice about what they're reading. And the inspiration too really was just to learn what everyone was reading and trying to find, if you're in like a reading slump, trying to find new authors and new genres and things you might like, and really just kind of a chance to network and have fellowship with one another. So that was really kind of the inspiration at the beginning of the book club for sure.
And Victoria, who all can join the book club specifically?
Anyone. So I know in St. Augustine, we have faculty, staff, students, and then we also have some community patrons as well. So it's nice that, just anyone can come and be part.
That's amazing. It's open to the community as well, not just our students and faculty.
Correct.
Awesome. We have amazing community support around, so it's always fun to have them on campus interacting with our students. So I know the book club's a little special. How do you choose a book for each month? Is the typical question that would come up. That's a little different from you guys, right?
Yes. So our book club is very laid back in the sense that we do not pick books for people to read. You get to read whatever you are in at that moment and come to book club and share about what you're reading. I know personally for myself, I've been in a bit of a reading slump, so I go just to hear what other people are reading and kind of draw inspiration. But we don't have a set list of books. We don't have a set list of questions. It's really just coming and talking about our love of reading. And if anyone's reading anything great, we also talk about books we don't like, which is a thing too. So we kind of talk about it all, and just in reading in general and just books in general. So it's very open.
But there is kind of a theme. We try to do a theme for the month, right? You don't have to stick to it, but there is usually a theme. Victoria?
Yes. So we do have like a guided suggestion of, stuff that you can read, but again, it's completely open. It's up to you. The themes are more just to give you an idea of maybe if you don't know what to read, you can look at that list and maybe go from there. But yeah, it's completely open. You read whatever is your heart's desire.
Yeah, and the list is on our website too. So if you're looking for kind of ideas for what to read, or you do want to kind of go off of a monthly theme, all of that is on the website.
Yep.
Perfect. What kind of atmosphere and environment could someone expect when they're coming into this book club? Is it very rigid? I mean, we're talking about, it's a free-for-all as far as choosing your book, but is there a specific way that we run the meetings, or
So
is it very casual?
typically each campus has their own host. So Victoria does St. Augustine, Brittany does Palaca, and then I do Orange Parks. So, but it's very informal. So we'll start by just saying, hello, welcome to book club, everyone. Would anyone like to share, what they're reading? And usually people are eager to jump in and talk about what they're reading or what they're into or interested in, or just staying, I haven't read anything this week. I'm looking, I'm excited to see what everyone is reading about. So very informal, but typically we are like a host, but it's kind of a round table kind of discussion.
Is there anything specifically you do, or in Choki that you see in Choki and your students, if you want to jump into, that we use to kind of help people feel comfortable in these meetings? Is there a specific, like, how do we keep everybody comfortable in the meetings?
Yeah.
I guess is the best way.
For me personally, I've always done reading as a solitary activity, so it's pretty interesting to go into this activity as first the social aspect of it. So it's really just it's very, like she said, it's very informal, and we mostly know each other on campus, and even if I don't even if I'm not actively reading anything, I would still go and get inspired by people, or just even hang out, and people are having interesting and entertaining conversations. So it's very laid back, very entertaining, very engaging, and not to be taken seriously, even though we're talking about very serious stuff.
That's always good. When you're walking into a group like that, it can be
Yeah.
very intimidating. So hearing that it's a friendly, laid back experience, even from the student side of it.
And we do have the guideline of what happens in book club, like whatever you say is a comfortable space, right? And so if you're bashing a book, it's okay. Like we will listen, we will support you in your dislike of the book. I know that we've had some conversations recently where we've had different people feel differently about books, and it's always very interesting. But again, it's a safe space.
And that was kind of my next question. When you get those differing opinions, how do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, I think for us on the St. Augustine campus, we have a lot of first year students, and then we have some faculty and staff. So seeing the different perspectives in terms of age is very interesting. But I have to say we've never really had any arguments or massive disagreements or anything. I think everyone that is there is just understands that, be respectful.
Giving those different points of view, kind of an option.
Yes.
And I think the fact that I want to add on to that,
Yeah.
but I think the fact that everyone who's there just wants to be there. There's no incentive, they just people who really want to talk about books. So everyone's being respectful because they want to be there and they're interested in what other people have to say. So
that's the whole point of being there. That's the best part. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely brings you all together better. On the librarian side of it, have you both noticed patterns or changes in the way that people are choosing what they're choosing to read, or different conversations that they're having within these groups?
I think just in my experience, Orange Park has a very small book club compared to St. Augustine and Palaca, but I think we're all very interested in what each other reads, and I think everyone's reading habits are very different and what they're interested in reading. But I will say I've learned a lot about genres I probably would never have read before. And as a librarian, that's great because it opens my eyes to things, you know, that we could purchase to have within the library or just to keep my eye out. You know, because I don't read everything, contrary to popular belief about librarians. So it's good to have different perspective, and then you know, waiting to hear back. You know, one week someone might be in the middle of a book, and I can't wait to see how that ends for the how the book ends for that person. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting, and then I think trying to pick up different books. I know some of us have been like, oh, you would love this book, you should read that book. And we've had that happen. So it's really great. And on the professional end, it definitely opens my eyes to books I probably wouldn't have gravitated to just naturally. So it's been great.
Wait, you don't just sit in your office all day reading?
I know it's a myth of librarianhood, but we
I wish.
unfortunately do not spend our days reading all day. I'd love it if that was possible, but unfortunately it's not.
Here I was still set on my career change. You're gonna just break my heart.
I know.
So sorry, Mickey.
Victoria, on your side, are you seeing a difference kind of in people opening up to different genres because of the
Yeah.
book club?
Absolutely. We've had some students that were like, okay, I've heard people talk about this type of genre before, and I love it. They'll like pop into my office and they'll be like, okay, I need a book. And that's definitely, of course, one of our favorite things is, you know, just to go out to the stacks and kind of show them around. But it's also been nice in book club too, of people starting to swap books, which is fun. They're like, I finished this and I really think someone else would like this, kind of like Kendall said. You know, just getting to know each other and then now starting to broaden our taste of what we like.
And continuing on that one, Choki, has your reading changed as far as your options that you're grabbing? Have you changed genres, kind of branched out?
Yes and no. I think I'm very the good thing is that when I share, like, I'm an international student, so I lack a cultural background whenever I'm reading books, and especially with Brenda, I'll tell her the book that I'm reading, and she'll give me all the cultural background. Like I was reading East of Eden, and she's like, "Oh, this is also inspired by like a story in the Bible," or reading Circe, and she's like, "Oh, you need to read the Homer or the Iliad," which I've never heard of because they're like Western culture, and so that aspect is good because I'm like learning like extensions of the literature that I'm consuming. But I would also say that I'm very like I'm in that aspect of exploring more genres is still something that I'm working on, but hopefully I'll get there. But it's nice to hear like all the like history books, like the stories of the history books from one of the history professors in the book club, or people who read a lot of fantasy. I don't read fantasy at all, but I will get there. I will get there.
I was gonna say I share a similar situation with one of our faculty members. Reads a lot of science fiction, and it is my least favorite genre. And I have to say I haven't quite branched out, but it has intrigued me. So I think it's just kind of dipping your toes in the water without having to actually read the material is nice. And so it's like maybe out of all of the things that he's talking about, maybe that one sounds really interesting. So it's nice to branch out and hear other people who are really enthusiastic about genres that aren't particularly your favorite. It's nice to kind of get a variety of content.
A way of kind of like palate cleansing. I think all readers kind of fall into the same, they kind of fall back on their comfy genre.
Exactly.
Helps you. We kind of dabbled a little bit, but there's definitely diverse opinions and diverse backgrounds, especially when you're comparing students with our educating side of it. Our older folks on campus, I count myself in that group too, where we just have different viewpoints on the books. How do we encourage that debate when those have read it, or, you know, keeping it within it, but having that discussion open so that we can see all the points? How do you both, you both said you don't have very many, I'm going to struggle getting this question out. You both have said yours not very conflict, but how do you foster that debate when you have those books that are multiple people are reading?
I think for us, it's just that conversation. And I think as a host, that's also kind of our job, I guess, to kind of help that conversation move forward, or, you know, bring in a different perspective and just kind of make sure everything is kosher. But I will say I do know of a community member who had never really read fantasy or anything like that, and started coming to book club, and they were like, okay, all these other people are reading this. I'm not reading this. And so they read it so that they could kind of join in on that conversation. And I think that's really cool too. And some of the stuff that Shoki's read, I have never really been drawn to, and I've read and I've loved it. And I love coming around the corner and being like, I loved this. And so just being able to kind of have that diverse conversation is great.
And with that, the diverse conversation being loved, are there any memorable moments specifically that stick out as far as breakthroughs and people getting love for reading or finding that new genre that sticks out for all of you? Is there anything that kind of sticks out from these meetings for you?
We had one meeting over the summer. So the way our summer book club works is that it's all online and all 3 campuses join together, which is really exciting because you get to talk to people that you probably wouldn't talk to because you're in Orange Park and they're in Palatka.
Right.
But we do have one community patron who is a retired librarian. And so he was reading a lot of books and would just ask questions. And it was a really nice, like kind of like generational like moment where we all came together, and he was just asking questions and talking about his experience. We were talking about ours. And that was really nice. And it was nice to have those kind of more difficult discussions, but all kind of be respectful and just trying to figure out everyone's perspective, because it's obviously so different depending on your generation and things like that. But it was really great. We had a very nice book club over summer. It was a good time.
And then Victoria, is there anything that's kind of stuck out for you?
I just think just seeing the people in book club start to build friendships with each other. In St. Augustine, we have a very diverse group. We have students and staff and faculty. And I don't know, I've really loved that, kind of watching the titles drop away, right? So we have professors who are in there, and there's students in there that are taking these professors, and just seeing them interact in a way that they wouldn't otherwise, I think it's just been really enjoyable for me to just sit back and kind of watch those relationships and friendships bloom, which I think is cool.
The peek behind the curtain.
Exactly.
And then Shoki, is there anything that's kind of stuck out for you as far, for these meetings?
For me, I had this semester, thanks to I had a perspective shift that wouldn't have happened without this book club. And that is thanks to all, whenever we're at book club or having conversations, I have to reflect on the books that I'm reading. And with that came the realization that actually I don't want to read so many books. I just want to read few books very well, because I learned, as I reflect on the books, I learned so much than if I just read and moved on. Even though I used to feel guilty of not reading as many books as possible, now I actually I'm okay with reading few books and actually studying them. And so I think that perspective shift would not have happened if I didn't reflect on all the books in book club. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's an amazing thought. I'm guilty of, starting a book and getting halfway through going, I know I've heard this before, and realizing I've read it before because I just consume too much at once when it comes to books. Slowing down is a good thing to do. Kendall, what do you think keeps members coming back to the book club for each meeting?
I think it's each other. I think we all come to discuss what everyone's reading. I think we've invested in what other people are interested in reading. And I think it is the friendships that kind of blossom out of it, whether it's, one faculty member to another who maybe are in completely different departments and would not otherwise be communicating, and to, faculty to students and staff. And I really do think it's just kind of that camaraderie that kind of exists within book club, and that knowing that, we have a common ground that is reading and books and literature, and it's really fun. But I definitely think it's each other is what makes people come back for sure.
And are there any specific recruiting strategies you guys are using to get new members to come on campus or come into the group?
I know that we have signage anywhere and everywhere. I know as they're everywhere. And as librarians, as we go into classes and we do instruction, I know we all try to plug it in there. make sure that all of our English and writing instructors know about it. I know our tutors also do a really great job of promoting this, and so do our circ staff. And it's definitely been more word of mouth more than anything, which I think is also really awesome. That even though we have signs, it's more students being like, oh yeah, I had a friend say that they came, or my instructor was talking about this in class today, and that's why I'm here. And I think that's really our biggest advertisement, is just word of mouth.
We also have snacks to keep people coming back.
That is true.
And-
There is food.
Snacks are always a good thing on campus. Yes.
Yes.
Quickest way to make people show up is having food out there.
Absolutely.
We kind of touched it on already. Is there anything surprising for each of you that you went out and read because of the book club? Like, what is that book genre that you've stepped into that you were kind of shocked after taking on as hosting?
I talked about this a little bit, but once again, I'm not a big sci-fi person. And so one of our faculty members reads a lot of sci-fi, which is great. But also, I also really enjoy history, and he also really enjoys history. But even some of the things like within that same bubble, he reads different things than I would read. So even if it's a genre that you really like, there's always these little subgenres of everything. So that's been really interesting too, to kind of take a peek at without having to fully dive in, you know. So I would definitely say those are the two for me.
Yeah.
And
I think
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think mine would be more of like memoirs. And that's
Yeah.
something that he reads a lot. And I mean, I'd kind of dipped my toe in, but just the amount of just passion that he would talk about with these books, I was like, okay, I have to read these now. These would not be things that I would typically pick up, that are going to be kind of sad, and just the struggles that people go through in terms of the books that he's reading, and being willing to be vulnerable with these authors as they write. And sometimes we look at books as trying to just bring joy, right? To disconnect from really what's going on, and taking more of a dive and into the deeper, maybe more uncomfortable topics has definitely been where I've been pushed to.
And then Choki, I know you said it a little bit. Have you been drawn to other genres?
The closest I've gotten was one time one of our librarians shared a book with like Shrek in the cover, which I would have never picked up by myself. I didn't finish it, but I started reading it. But that counts, I think.
That counts.
You attempted. That's the important part.
I'm still trying. I'm still trying.
It took me a very long time to understand that it's okay to put down a book if you're just not enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to embrace it and walk away.
Yes, that is a library approved statement. You don't have to finish the book.
Life is too short.
Yes.
Victoria, how do you guys define the book club as being a success? What are you looking for to make it a success for you?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think it's really just whether we have a big group or a small group, it really is. I think it's successful when you have a good conversation, and that could just be, I didn't like this book. Let me tell you why. And you're like, oh, that's really interesting. Blah, blah, blah. Have you tried reading this? Have you tried reading that? I think really just whether it's one-on-one, there's 3 of us, there's a group of 20 of us. I think it really is just based off of conversation and that being successful and everyone just enjoying being there, because we want people to enjoy their time and to discuss what they want to discuss. And so to me, whether big or small group, I think that's what makes it successful for me.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's, it doesn't matter how many people we have, if it's all just students and me or whatever it looks like. I mean, even our virtual conversations, right? Like, this may not always seem like the greatest place to have a book club via Zoom, but I think our summers are some of my favorites, just because of the amount of diversity in the conversations that we get to have, and people being like, I'm so sad that I don't get to come to this book club anymore, because we go back to being on campus, and just hearing people that they enjoy it. But I think that for me is just enough, knowing that people are happy being there.
And Choki, what makes you happy to be a part of the group? Like, what keeps bringing you back besides their perspectives?
For me, mainly I do it because I have fun doing it.
Yeah.
The book club is in between classes, so and I find it very invigorating and very entertaining. It's something to do like for fun and while also learning from all the people in the club. So
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I didn't warn you I was going to ask you this question. If you don't mind sharing what you're currently reading, because honestly, I'm in between books and need a suggestion. What are we all reading?
I am actually reading a suggestion by Kindle. I'm reading Bride by Allie Hazelwood. I just started it this weekend. It's been on my to-read list thanks to Kindle, and I'm having a great time. It is not something that I typically would have picked up, but I mean, you have vampires and werewolves. What more could you ask for? So yeah,
Perfect time
that's
of
what I'm
year for
currently
that.
reading. Right? It's perfect.
Nice.
Kindle?
I just started, so I've been in a reading slump. I've mentioned this before, but I've been in a reading slump for about a month or so. But I finally found something that I'm picked up. It's called Neon Gods by Katie Robert. It's a Hades and Persephone story. So I'm just started it, but I'm very happy. I feel like I'm on the other end of my reading slump now, but I haven't read much of it, but what I have read is very good. So far I recommend.
Nice.
I love that one with the mythology background in it. Yeah.
Yes.
And then Choki, what are you currently reading?
I've been reading the same book for 3 weeks now, and it's a small book, but it's called Nemesis by Agatha Christie. Yeah.
Okay. Classic. I love it.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And let's go ahead and share, where can people find the information about the book club?
Perfect. So on the library's homepage, there's going to be a link to our book club. You'll see our little Viking logo on there and just click on it. Not only are you going to find the information of where to attend a book club, but you'll also see that we have a book blog. So the librarians, the writing tutors, and we do spotlight some students. He recently wrote a blog post. So it's always fun. There's one a week. So always take advantage of that. But our library's homepage is the place to get the information.
So the sjrstate.edu/library.
Yeah, you
Okay.
got it.
Perfect. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining in for this episode of Virtually Vikings, and thank you to our librarians, Victoria Slaughter and Kendall McCurley, and our special student guest star, Choki, for joining today. Thank you for serious, y'all. I've absolutely enjoyed this conversation.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
We hope you've enjoyed this discussion on the Vikings Read More Book Club and this wonderful opportunity we have on our campuses. I hope you all consider joining in on the fun. And don't forget, that's not just our faculty and staff and students. The community is open as well. You can find it all on our website. If you have any questions about this topic or have ideas for any future conversations, how we learned about the book club one, let us know. You can email us at virtuallyvikings@sjrstate.edu or through any of our social media channels. And remember, we're here for you, whether it's encouraging new education for a new career, expanding your current career, or just learning something new. St. John's is here for you. Thank you again for having us. Happy reading and go Vikings!